I'm going to run through my ins and outs. I watched Meg Hughes' video on this and I thought I'd make my own one. I think it's really fun. And I asked on my story, so I got everyone's contribution, which I really enjoy. I feel like I learned so much from the people that watch my videos and follow me, which I just feel real privileged for because it just engages in a community and I always learn. The verse 2024 in, someone wrote, well, actually a few people wrote, someone said embracing my queerness and also said dating women. And this follows on from an out as well. A lot of people said men, which I understand. But I think there's a huge, I don't know, because my gaydar is completely off. I've never had a good gaydar. Well, sort of sometimes. I feel like I can more easily tell if a man is gay rather than a woman. I don't know whether if a woman is flirting with me or just wants to be friends with me or is just like being polite and friendly, because a lot of women are just polite and friendly anyway, so I don't really know. And then for myself, I think it's probably because I don't even know what my own sexuality is. I find it very confusing all the time. So one of my ins is exploring my sexuality and also embracing queerness. Who knows what's going to happen? Next in then is learning new things out of curiosity, not commodity. And this one is more for myself. No one else said this, but formulating a well-researched opinion and to ask questions. I feel like I can react real emotionally to things, or I could see one piece of information and be like, oh my God. And then my whole opinion has changed. And I'm like, wait, should I not ask if this is true, or like should I research this a bit more? That's more so for myself, to research things, ask questions and learning. Learning has been a big goal for me this year. One of my regular sponsors who sponsors me a lot of times before, thank you so much Skillshare for sponsoring this video. It's the largest online learning community for creatives, professionals, anyone, and they're starting this new thing called a learning path where you can start totally as a novice and then they can teach you to be a pro. One of the classes that I'm doing now is called Self-Care Essentials, Embrace and Nurture the Real You. And one of my outs for this year was overconsumption. And I feel like a lot of times self-care can be seen as synonymous with like buying yourself things, like buying yourself a face mask or buying a scented candle, where it's actually a lot more complex than that. And it's all about looking after yourself and liking yourself and self-reflection, introspection. So that's what I'm learning at the moment on Skillshare. And I just think it's a really good time to invest in yourself while still relaxing, like not to be so hard on yourself, but to learn for fun or to put it towards something if you want to. Skillshare is offering 1 month for free to the first 500 people who click the link in my bio. So you can just do a month for free. That's perfect to try something new. Let me know how you get on, because I'm learning bass at the moment on there. It's just so handy. The next thing I said was self-care. So that goes on with the course that I'm learning on Skillshare at the moment, to incorporate like more movement, which I think I've been really good at. Last year I was doing 10k steps a day, I was doing yoga, Pilates, and I was just respecting my body a lot more. I think after I gave birth and my body was in such shambles and there was a lot of things that I couldn't do, all of a sudden I was given this power then to look after my body, and I really took it. I grabbed it by the balls and I was like, I can make myself feel really healthy if I want to. I wouldn't describe myself as hard. I'm trying to see my past self with understanding and compassion, because obviously I would have been going through a lot more than I am now. I would view my past self, like before I got pregnant, as quite reckless and having no respect for my body. So I'm trying, and I'm not perfect now, but I'm trying so much harder to have more respect for my body and just be nicer to myself, because it's a total waste of time to be mean to yourself. You're not getting anywhere. And that's basically just like wallowing and turning your pain into suffering. Move more, respect our bodies with balance, obviously, not to be too hard on ourselves. Someone said being really strong, in brackets having muscles. I can now do a push-up just from actually holding my toddler all the time, but I do have and I feel real old saying this, but my lower back is so sore from picking her up and down. And I was borrowing my mom's car, and the way that the car seat, her car seat is like in my mom's car, I have to bend down real low to pick her up, and she's obviously getting heavier and heavier by the day. So I have to start doing exercises for my lower back. Next then is letting go. There's so many things that I hold on to or hold resentment against, and there's no point. That's like, what's that saying? It's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Actively loving ourselves. And that's not just, no, positive affirmations are great and telling yourself you love yourself is great, but actively loving yourself. Like, for example, I was thinking about this. Everyone has like a perfect partner in their head, or how they want to be treated. Say your last boyfriend or your ex 3 exes ago never bought you flowers or never told you how beautiful you are. Why can't we just do that for ourselves, and then we feel more fulfilled? I started taking myself on dates as well on the weekend, hugging yourself, buying yourself little treat. Now you don't have to buy yourself things, but being easier on yourself, just kind of basically just dating yourself. I think that's a really good way to go in the new year. Oh yeah, writing letters. I was real into writing letters during COVID. I didn't keep up with it after that, and I loved it. So, and it's really good to practice. If you like writing as well, it's really good to practice your writing. It's a really nice way of communicating. You're spending less time on your phone, and it's more special as well, the communicating that you're having with the person. And for some reason I feel like I can get more intimate. I can get a bit more deep. Now my best friend Ash, who lives in Australia, we were writing each other letters, and she's really good at writing letters where she'll, you know, include little things like lists of movies she likes and music she's listening to. Like, you can do whatever you want in the letters, and you can just write down your running train of thought, and they're really nice to read. You know, you get to know someone a lot more by seeing their handwriting, and you feel closer to the person as well. Spending more time outdoors and having presents and being phone free. So I had that in the same thing. I think I was good as well at spending time outdoors, just because when you have a child, it's like when you have a dog and you're like, it needs to be walked. You know, having a child is the same sort of sentiment, where you need to get outside all the time. They need the fresh air. They need to let off some steam. And it's good for you as well. Making more of an effort to get outside every day, no matter what the weather is. I would like to get, though this year, I would like to get more into hiking. I don't know now if B is too old for one of those hiking backpacks. I feel like she might be, because she always wants to walk. I'm at a weird stage where I don't know if I can hike with her or not, but I'm going on a hike tomorrow with my sister. I think during the summer I'll really get into hiking more. I did a little bit now this year, or last year, but I definitely want to do more. Next then is playing like a child. I actually have such issues with this. I know now, scientifically speaking, it's really good for your child's development playing with them, and it's good for them to develop. Even if you want them to independently play, you can't expect them to independently play unless you're playing with them to begin with. They say that at least 15 minutes a day is like the sweet spot for playing with your child. I find it really difficult because I'm like, why aren't you putting the shapes in the right holes? You know, or if I'm colouring and then she starts ripping up the page, I'm like, why can't you just colour? You know, but you have to see things from the perspective of the child. She's only experiencing the world for the first time. Obviously, she doesn't know how to do things the right way, so I have to let her explore, and it's kind of interesting seeing things through her eyes as well. So I'm trying to do that more, and that kind of ties in with asking questions and being more willing to ask questions and not expecting yourself to know everything. So loads of people said financial literacy, so budgeting and saving. I myself love my credit union. I'm literally obsessed. Any bit of cash I have, it's gone straight into B's credit union or my credit union. I have a standing order going into my credit unions. I feel real grown up. I really feel like I have my shit together. Getting a pension as well if you're self-employed, even if it's just like 50, I think the minimum is €50 a month. Even if it's €50 a month, like, you're guaranteeing yourself a future. Not caring what people think, being yourself. I'm really struggling recently with everyone thinks that I'm annoying or everyone hates me. It always comes in waves. Like, for the past 6 months before that, so it's basically for the last 2 months I've been on a real buzz of everyone hates me and everyone thinks I'm annoying. And when I think people think I'm annoying, it's like I can't shut up. It's like I get motor mouth. I'm like, I need to keep going. It's like I'm trying to push the thought out of my head. I have to be more outspoken and do the things that I think that people are finding annoying, even though I find them annoying as well. Does that make sense? Like, when you just can't stop. I probably did it as a kid as well, but and as a child I always thought that I was annoying, and then because of that, to try counteract it, I would act more annoying. Does that even make sense? Does anyone know what I'm talking about? Like, you know, when you're a child and you're asking your parents a question, and you know you can feel them getting frustrated with you, but you just keep asking questions. Then it's like you think that you want them to show a sign that they love you regardless of how you're going to behave, so you keep repeating the behaviour expecting for their reaction to change. Oh my god, I'm a genius. So I think I'm doing that. That's still following through in my adulthood. So I'm trying to just fucking shut up sometimes. I'm gonna write that I didn't even write that down, but it's one of my things. I just need to shut up. It's harder now as well, because obviously I have a podcast and a YouTube channel and like all social media, so I'm like, I need to be entertaining, I need to be on the ball all the time. But sometimes I could do with shutting up. You need to strike a balance with not caring about what other people think and being yourself. So I think that's what it is. I'm trying to overcompensate and trying to be myself so much where it's like I'm not even being myself anymore. I don't even know if I'm making sense anymore. Okay, someone recommended this now, but I don't know if I would be able to stick with it. Celibacy. And I saw this TikTok the other day of a girl being like 6 months sober, 6 months celibate, and I was like, wow, no, that's hardcore. I think I could do 6 months sober, no problem, because obviously when I was pregnant I didn't really have an issue with not drinking. I don't think I'd have a problem in that sense. For some reason I kind of like that challenge of being like, yeah, I'm not going to drink, I don't even want to go out or see people. But the celibacy thing, there's an itch that needs to be scratched. I mean, I'm doing a pretty good job now as it is, but that's more incel vibes than anything else. Next then is sticking up for myself, but also again there's a striking balance, because, you know, because I'm on the internet, I can get nasty comments or just like random people being like, you're a bitch. There's no point in me, and I used to do that where I'd like retaliate, but there's literally no point in doing that, because they're sticking with whatever narrative of me they have in their head and not the person that I actually am. They don't even know me personally, so how could they? In real life circumstances, I think. I mean, like that time I told the guy to fuck off. I went to House on Leeson Street, this club. after the Stellar Awards, and men kept touching. It's like the touching on the hips thing. Next in is forgiveness and understanding for yourself and for others. Say, for example, if someone does one of my friends dirty or wrong, I could be like, I'm literally never talking to them ever again. Like, that's no problem. I can cut them out of my life, no problem. But you can do that while being loyal to your friend, but also like being understanding and civil with everyone. Now for the outs, here we go. Okay, so number one, overconsumption. I'm guilty of this as well. Sure, I'm a fucking cog in the wheel of the capitalism game. Being an influencer basically is you just sell people things. Now, I do think there's a way that you can ethically be an influencer, sort of. I try to focus more on like services rather than products, if you know what I mean. I have said no to a lot of things. Now, sometimes I do bite myself in the foot though as well, because it is my job and I have to make money and I want to buy a house, and I'm real just like... Overconsumption is just out. There's just so many things that we don't need. Like we just don't need them. The next is judgment, shaming, criticizing yourself and others. That's straightforward. Getting embarrassed. That's also straightforward. I mean, there's no point. You're just holding yourself back. Next, comparison. I always compare myself in terms of people's careers or opportunities or achievements. I'm always like, I feel like a piece of shit. I haven't achieved anything. Even though internally, if I cut out all the noise and if I wasn't paying attention to other people, I'm actually very proud of myself and what I've achieved, in the sense that I'm able to make money myself, look after my baby, and she's a legend. So I think if I just didn't pay attention to other people's opinions of me and compare myself to others, I'd actually be a lot more happy within myself. And then it motivates you as well to keep going and to like try better. Next then, diet culture. That's self-explanatory. This is following in from learning new things and asking questions. So out is anti-intellectualism and influencer brain rot. So I have experienced influencer brain rot in some sense. Like, think about it. If you're working at home on your own, your prerogative is to make money. Obviously you're making ads, which is fine, but you have no point of reference in terms of like the content that you're making or the things that you're producing. You're not really inclined to learn new things because you're making ads, if that makes sense. I really found myself dumbing down from my own experience. I felt like I was focusing so much on making money. You just get desensitized to the world around you because you're so focused on your job. And I think a lot of people can do the same. But the difference is that my job is obviously public and online. So I have to be very aware of the things that are going on around me at the same time. I just felt like I was experiencing influencer brain rot, where I wasn't learning anything new. I wasn't talking to people. I wasn't hearing different perspectives. And sometimes I can use social media as a form of escapism. I think a lot of people do as well. Like, all the YouTube videos I watch are all just lifestyle, pretty aesthetic videos, which isn't a problem. Like, we want to watch things to be entertained, but social media is such a huge part of our lives that we can't use all of it as escapism. I mean, say if your screen time is 6 to 8 hours, that's 6 to 8 hours of not being in the real world. That is dangerous. We still need to be keeping it within the realms of reality. So yeah, anti-intellectualism is out. The overuse of calling things pretentious when they're not actually being pretentious. I mean, there is a time and place for those things. There's definitely a lot of times where things are convoluted and inaccessible for absolutely no reason. But there are a lot of times when it is actually easy to find. We have the most access to information that there has ever been since time began. We have the capabilities and the ability to teach ourselves things very easily. So I think sometimes we're using it as a scapegoat and being like, well, I don't know that, so don't expect me to know that, if you know what I mean. I just want to teach myself things and stop being lazy and complacent about it and just teach myself. Oh, next thing I said is cancel culture and misdirected anger. My For You page is all information about Palestine. And then last week, it all started changing about this influencer who did an ad with Starbucks and everyone's opinions, like the whole discourse on it, like who's the most perfect activist sort of thing. And this is coming from the perspective, now I can talk about this because I've been in her position and I've signed a contract with the brand that was owned by an Israeli company, and I found out and I cancelled it. And I had made the content and I said I'm not uploading it, and I cancelled the contract. So I obviously lost that money. I also said no to brands multiple times because they were owned by an Israeli company. But I wasn't like, I need to make a TikTok about this, even though probably that would be a good influence in the sense that I can tell other influencers that there is a possibility you always have a choice, you can say no. And I'm not trying to justify what she's done. I don't think that she has much integrity if she's going to say she's pro-Palestine and then do a Starbucks ad. Like, that's just, I just wouldn't even do a Starbucks ad anyway, so I don't understand where she's coming from. But I think the problem is there's so much misdirected anger at her, just one person, instead of actually what's happening. I like hearing what other people's opinions are. I'm sure everyone else, like, it is frustrating, obviously, watching that unfold and for her to be like making content out of it. Now, I'm not perfect either. Obviously, there's some stupid shit that I've done, but I do think there's so much focus on trying to cancel her rather than actually, you know, the genocide is actually happening. This purist attitude isn't going to get us anywhere. Like, everyone having to be a perfect activist all the time, it's not going to make a difference. But I would love to hear someone else's perspective on it. But yeah, I just never agreed with cancel culture anyway. I just don't think these people should have pedestals to begin with. Everyone is so deeply flawed, like every single person. So obviously you're going to find out something bad about any person who has a platform. But I also am a big believer in restorative justice. I don't think that anyone should be in the position where maybe I should just shut up. Maybe this is one of the opportunities where I should just shut up. Okay, next that's out is chains and large corporations. Now, this is a difficult as well because it's so much easier to just buy from chains and corporations. Like, when you Google something, the first thing that comes up is going to be a sponsored ad by one of these larger corporations that has the money to pay for ads. So what I'm trying to do now is to individually cut out each thing that I buy in my life slow. Like, it would take ages, obviously, because I want to use up the things that I already own. But for example, I need new perfume. I've never bought like a locally sourced, handmade in Ireland perfume. I don't even think I've ever bought a sustainable perfume. I just didn't even know that was a thing, to be honest. I looked up then Irish handmade sustainable perfume. Duh. And it's hard to find things online. So I found this place called, I think it's called Wild Waters. I'll put the link in the description. Basically, they send you a little pack, like a tester pack, and they send you 4 little sprays of their 4 scents. So I'm getting that soon. I'm really excited for it, actually. I'll probably include it into a vlog. And then obviously screen time. A lot of people said lower screen time. And then my last out is putting men on a pedestal. This is going to be difficult for me because obviously you all know that I love Jeremy Allen White. And I was literally, when the Calvin Klein ad came out, there was people tagging me in it and I was like this, watching it. But I just think we need to stop giving them a big head. We're giving them ideas. If anything, we should only be putting women on pedestals because they're superior to men. That's the end of the video. Thanks so much, Skillshare, for sponsoring. The link is in my description. For the first 500 people, get a month free. It's a great deal. Thanks so much for watching. I love you all. And let me know your ins and outs in the comments.